In this video, we'll be looking at how to multiply polynomials. In order to do that, we'll have to make full use of the distributive property. So let's begin with an example. So in my example, I would like us to multiply 2x plus 3 by x squared plus 4x minus 5. All right, so what is important about this? If we're multiplying these two polynomials, it's important that each thing gets multiplied by the 2 and that each thing also gets multiplied by the 3. So everything in each parentheses gets multiplied by everything else. So now that we know our exponent laws, this shouldn't be so bad. So 2x, I'm doing the red first, 2x times x squared gives us 2x to the third. I added my exponents. Now the next term, the red, 2x times 4x gives us 8x squared. 2x, so the last red arrow, 2x times negative 5 gives us minus 10x. And now I can move on to the black. So we have the first black arrow says 3 times x squared gives us 3x squared. The second black arrow, 3 times 4x gives us 12x. And our final black arrow, 3 times negative 5 gives us minus 15. So now that we have that, we can simplify this polynomial by first putting it in decreasing order of degree and then joining our like terms. So let's change our degrees to decreasing order. So we have 2x to the third, and that's the only thing to the third. So now we can move on to the x squares plus 8x squared plus 3x squared. And now we can move on to our x's, minus 10x plus 12x, and finally our constant, minus 15. So you want to double check to make sure that you have everything in there. And once you are sure, now we can join like terms. So we have 2x to the third. Oh, that's not a like term at all. So there's only one x to the third. Well, 2x to the third actually. And now we can join our x squares. So that is plus 11x squared. 8 plus 3 is 11x squared. And we have 10x, negative 10x plus 12x. So here we have plus 2x minus 15. And we're done with this question. Okay, so now I want to look at a specific, very common type of example. We're doing the same thing, but it's very specific in that in this example, we're going to have two terms for each polynomial. So this sounds all complex, but when you see it, I am sure this might look familiar. If not, that's okay. All right, so this is a very common type of example. We see many of these throughout the years, so it's very important for us to get used to it. It's the same thing we just did, but actually it's a bit easier. So there are two terms in each polynomial, and again, both terms have to be multiplied by both terms. So each term in one gets multiplied by each term in the other. So we can do what I did before, but there is a wonderful mnemonic device called FOIL. FOIL. And it stands for first, outer, inner, and last. What does that mean? All right, so it just means that we can start off by remembering to multiply the two first terms. So we have 2n times n, and that gives us 2n squared. Now we can multiply the outer terms, 2n times 8. So that gives us 16n. Now we can do our inner terms, the two terms inside that are close to each other. And when we do our inner terms, we get minus 3n. And finally, we can do our last terms, that negative 3 and that 8. So now we're multiplying negative 3 by 8, and we get plus, oh, not plus, we get minus 24. Now, we still have to join like terms, but they're less like terms than there were in the example before. So our like terms are 16n minus 3n. So our overall answer is 2n squared, that stays the same, plus 13n, because we just did 16n minus 3n, minus 24. And we're done.